This is the first time that we've done something like this off campus. And so it's something that's new. Back in January when we agreed to accept and voted on the bridge being our outward mission project, we selected the bridge to have a relational type of connection with them. The bridge has different compartments. One of the things that they have is a shelter that is open up to women and their children who are leaving an abusive situation. From there, those residents go on to a place called Destiny's House, which is a little bit more independent living. It's more of an apartment, and then moving more steps into having some of their own independent living going on. We need volunteers to man this. They asked if we would be willing to have Destiny's House, the residents come over in conjunction with the shelter residents, and of course I didn't say no. I never say no to something of that nature, and so we're talking about 200 people. So I need as much help as I can get from you in regards to helping serve the residents of that. So there is a sign-up sheet out in the main hall. We are going to, like they mentioned, we're going to have crafts and games and a woodworking project and face painting and food. And so only if you can only give me an hour, I'll take it. If you want to help me ahead of time, I'll take it. Whatever you can do, I will definitely accept that. There's a couple other things that we're going to be doing in regards to the shelter, and that is that week of Thanksgiving. Usually they leave and go with family, if they have family that they feel safe with, to have their Thanksgiving. But some of them don't go because they don't have a safe place to go. So that week we were asked if we could provide a dinner for the residents of the shelter on Tuesday, November the 20th. And that would consist of a Thanksgiving dinner. So if you want to make a pie, or you want to make a side dish, or you want to help me transport all this food, again, I'll take you. So, like I said, there's a sign-up sheet out there. If it's something that you really want to do, I'll have more sign-up sheets. You can always call the church office and say, hey, I need Andrea's phone number. And yes, I don't mind you calling me on my cell phone. I will answer it. If I don't, I will get back to you within a very short period of time. Looking forward in regards to this, and like I always apologize to Lindsay ahead of time because I take so much time, but as you know, I like to talk, and I love missions, so I'm really on fire about that, and so I talk loud, and I talk a lot. So just bear with me. The shelter in December, those shelter kids, the community is a great support for them. They get lots of donations for all those kids, but there's another compartment that I just described to you, Destiny's House. Okay, that's the independent living structure. Those kids, the toys that they get or the presents that they get for Christmas are what's left over from what the shelter kids don't get. They have whatever is left over in regards, if there's any gifts left over. They pass them on to the Destiny's House kids. Well, as you can tell, that don't work for me. I don't want a kid to go without at Christmas. So they said, would you be willing to take these kids on? And of course, I said yes. I did consult with Lindsay and I did consult with Albert. There was a lot of, right, Albert, we're going to do this, right? And Albert's like, okay, Andrea. There's about 50 of these kids. They are older kids. I know buying for older kids is difficult and more expensive, let's be honest here. So that may be sacrificing an out-to-eat meal to provide for these kids, but I'm not going to say no, not to kids. At Christmas time, we will sponsor those kids as well. The shelter parents are allowed to pick their toys for their kids. They do not wrap them. So they've asked a Christmas wrapping team to come to their shelter and wrap the presents. I will not be on that team because I do not wrap presents well. However, if God has blessed you with the ability to wrap well, we will have a wrapping party, and they need everything. They need wrapping paper, tape, scissors, tags, ribbons, boxes, tissue paper, you name it, whatever you need to wrap a Christmas gift. And so we don't have that date yet, but we will compose a team to go out to them to wrap these kids' gifts. I know it is a big order to fill, guys. I get it. I know. I got kids. I have grandkids. I have neighbors. And around this time, everyone's pushing and pulling you to contribute. But you can bake a pie. You can buy a small gift. You can help me load up my car. There is something that you can do. It may not be money, because in all honesty, yes, I want that, but I want your body. I want your hands and your feet and your mind and your eyes and your ears to help me serve these people for Asbury to be the face of God during this time. If you don't know how to make it happen and you want some ideas, get with me. I'll help you figure it out so we can do this. So now Albert's going to speak to you about Turkey Quest. And thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak about something that I'm very passionate about and that I absolutely love. And I know Asbury has always been able to fill those tall orders. So I'm coming to you again.
Boy, I tell you, I was just standing back there and I broke a sweat just listening to her. Okay, everybody, I guess y'all know about what time of year this is. We turn into the holiday season, and naturally we start talking about turkeys. So I'll start out with the turkey quest and the baskets that we do each year. This year we kind of did a little brainstorming, and as we see Asbury grow within here, we also want to capitalize on that and grow on the outside too. So we have kind of blended a few things together here, but we're going to be helping a whole lot more people. We're still doing the three schools, the three elementary schools, Red Bluff, Parks, and Pomeroy. We're going to do 20 families for each school. I'll give you some dates right quick. It's all written down out there in the hallway when you go to sign up for the candles and stuff. On November the 14th, which is a Wednesday, that evening at 6:30, we will put together the boxes or baskets or whatever you want to call it with the canned goods. And then on that Saturday, November the 17th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., we'll do the delivering. So, as Andrea was talking about, there's going to be something for everyone. I mean, if your deal is just buying stuff, that, putting the boxes together, or even delivering them. And so we got to talking about how we could kind of make this expand a little bit, and that's where we got into the deal about the luncheon for the bridge on Tuesday, November the 20th, and we also went a little bit farther than that, and we got into Christmas. And as we were talking there, like she said, the people that are positioned there at the bridge that are staying there, they get the presents and they get first choice and give out to their children. Well, then there's the second phase that they kind of live away from the bridge, but their choices are, if there's any presents left, they get what's left to give to their children. So there's kind of a gap there, a falling cracks type of deal, you know. So who could we turn to help these ladies with their children in their presence. Do y'all know of anybody that could help them? I thought of one person, or one entity itself right off the bat. Asbury. We do Christmas also, and we do families from the schools. So why not help these families too? They're in just as much dire need as any of the rest of them are. So there we go. We're gonna do that also. So you see our plate is full. The challenge is there. Are y'all ready to meet that challenge? I think so. Okay, so let's go to work, and I'm going to go over here and wipe my brow so I can get all the sweat off of it. Okay, let's go to work. Y'all have a good day. Thank you.
At this time, if you would stand and greet your neighbor with the love of Christ Jesus.
I was in Singapore and Scotland and France. Yeah, I guess 4 out of 8 weeks there I was out Well, there was a fire and an investigation in France that I was part of. There was a meeting in Scotland. Contract in Singapore.
At this time, with all of our children will make their way towards the front. We have a special message just for them who are called this morning. We ask that everyone would sing along with us as the children come forward.
Good to see you.
And it's the parable of the talents. Now, back in Jesus' day, talents were kind of like money, okay? So it's a little bit different. There was a very wealthy man who was going on a trip, and he called his 3 servants. Can you show me 3 fingers? 3 servants. And he was going to divide up his talents or his money to the 3 servants, right? So the first servant, he gave 5 talents. And to the second servant, he gave 2 talents. And to the third servant, he gave 1, right? He divided it all up. And the first servant took his, and he went and did some work and traded some things, and it doubled. He went from 5 to 10, right? And the second servant, that person had 2,
And they went and made some good choices and did some training and some work, and theirs doubled to 4. And then the third servant, who only had 1, you know what he did with his? Oh, no, you know this story? Awesome. He took it and he buried it. He took his shovel and dug a big hole and buried it and covered it back up because he thought that would keep it safe, right? So he just left it there, right? Well, when the man returned, he was very happy and really pleased with the first 2 servants because they had doubled the money and made even more, right? But then he turned to the third servant and said, well, what did you do with the money that I left for you? And he told him, he said, I know you were a hard man, and I was afraid, so I went out and I dug a hole and I buried it in the ground so it would be safe. And the man was very angry. He said, you took that 1 talent and it did nothing. So then he took that 1 talent and gave it to the man that had 10 talents. So then he didn't have any talents. Now the talents that the man gave to his servants in the story was a form of money, right? But God has given all of us talents too, right? Some of us are really good at reading. Some of us are good at sharing and being good big sisters. At science, some of us are good at karate, right? Some of us are good at memorizing scripture. So we all have our talents, right? And God created each of us with special gifts, and he expects us to use those gifts for the purpose in which he gave them to us. Now, 1 talent's not better than the other talent. They're just different, right? So God made some people to be amazing singers, and for some to be good listeners, and for some to be handy and help other people. So sometimes when you look at someone else, you may think, wow, they have a lot of talents and I don't have any. But God has given us so much, and we're all just different. And don't be tempted to hide your talents. We want you to share your talents with others. So we want you to take your God-given talents and be all that God has intended for you to be. And he can give even more when we receive so much more in return. So I want you guys to all think about this week, about what your talents are and how you can share those with others. Will you guys say a prayer with me? Let's do a repeat after me prayer. Dear God, thank you for Jesus, who shows us how to receive the gifts you offer us and how to use those gifts for ourselves and those around us. And together we all say, Amen. Take one, and then in a little bit we'll go to wild worship. Just grab one and go. I've got a whole bunch of new ones in there. Okay, grab one and go. Did you get one, Kate? Okay, grab one and go. Grab one, ready, 5, 4, 3.
Well, good morning, church. Let's see, the Astros won. The cold front is coming in, and we are here to worship the Lord. So I'd say we are getting a good start to the week. It's so good to be in worship with you this morning. I have a few folks I want you to be keeping in your prayers this week as you go to the Lord. That includes Ernie Alstabrook, who is at St. Luke's Hospital, Marilyn Wiggins, who's in Patients Hospital, and Lynette, who is at Paramount recovering. Let's go ahead and bow our heads and our hearts as we go to the Lord. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, it is so good to come into your presence, to take a moment from the busy pace of life and how frenzied and fast everything moves, to kind of slow down for a moment and to remember that the one who created all things created even me, and that you made us on purpose to be part of your kingdom plan, that you have called us for ministry, to make a difference in the world around us, that you have forgiven us and reconciled us and offered to make us new and clean and whole. We thank you, Lord, for how great you are and your goodness toward each one of us. for the grace given to us through Jesus Christ going on the cross and saving us from our sins and rising again victorious over evil death. We pray this morning for those who were in the pathway of Hurricane Michael and ask that you please help the recovery efforts that continue, that you would give peace or at least comfort and assurance to those who have been so devastated. We pray, Lord, for the world, for all of the countries around the world, that you would guide the leaders. There's a lot of decisions being made, and we pray, Lord, that they be within your will. We pray for folks that we know and love who are going through hard times. We lift them up before you now. We remember, Lord, that you are the one who makes a way when there seems to be no way, that when we are desperate and call out to you, that you always answer, that the one who says, open, to knock on the door, for it will be open for you, that you are at the door waiting for us, Lord, and we thank you so much for that. We pray these things in the name of Jesus Christ, the one who taught us to pray, saying, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever.
And at this time in our service, we ask all those that are able to join us and stand and sing together. Gosh, when we lift our voices as one in just the praise of our Lord and Savior that gave everything for us, just something really beautiful happens and allows the Holy Spirit to just work stronger. So I just encourage us all, let's lift up our voices strong together this morning as we worship our Lord.
It
pray together. Lord, we look so forward to coming to your word and hearing from you. So may the words of my mouth and meditations of all of our hearts be found to be pleasing and acceptable in your sight, the Lord our rock and our redeemer. Amen. All right, kids, if y'all want to go to our worship, you are free to go at this time. You know, there's a word that I have discovered is a really pretty powerful word, and that word is no. The kid asks, can I climb on the roof? That's a big old no. No, you can't do that. Can I drive a car? Absolutely not. No, you cannot do that. You've got to be at least 7 years old to be able to drive a car. Should we go to the new Marvel movie? My husband might ask. That's a big old whopping no. Thanks, I've been to 10, and I could use a break from Marvel. Do you want to go camping in the backcountry where there's no showers or bathrooms? No, I don't want to do that. Do you want to stay married? No, that's a pretty powerful word. Do you believe in God? No. But through the grace of God, there is an even more powerful word than no, and that word is yes. That's great. Are you engaged? Yes. Would you like pie or ice cream tonight? Yes. Am I forgiven? Yes. Redeemed, saved, loved as a child of God? Guys? Okay. Is my future safe in God's hands? Does God believe in you? Yes. But there's this middle place between yes and no, a place that's held in tension between the two, a two-word phrase that's not as definitive, not as certain as either yes or no, but holds just as much weight and power. And those two words are these. What if? Oh, the what ifs. If you want to look for words packed with power, words that can stop a person in their tracks and make them change course, what if sure will do it. And there was a person who was tyrannized by the what ifs in Scripture, and we're going to go take a look at his story today, okay? So go ahead and open up your Bibles to Matthew chapter 25. We're going to begin in verse 14. That's just before Mark and Luke. It's still pretty far back in your Bible. We're going to be in Matthew 25. You can pull it up on your phone too, beginning in verse 14 this morning. This is Jesus speaking to the disciples, and he says, "For it is as if a man going on a journey summoned his servants and entrusted his property to them. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to each according to his ability. And then he went away. The one who had received the 5 talents went off at once and traded with them and made 5 more. In the same way, the one who had been given 2 talents made 2 more talents. But the one who had received the 1 talent went off and dug a hole in the ground and hid his master's money." Okay, it's not like he lost it or anything, but he just hid it. After a long time, the master of those servants came and settled accounts with them. Then the one who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing 5 more, and said, "Master, you handed me 5. See, I've made 5 more." And his master said, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You've been trustworthy in a few things. I will now put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of your master." And the one with the 2 talents also came forward and said, "Master, you handed me 2 talents. Look, see, I've made 2 more." And his master said, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been trustworthy in a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of your master." Then the one who had received the 1 talent also came forward, saying, "Master, I knew you were a harsh man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you did not scatter seed. So I was afraid, and I went and I hid your talents in the ground. Here you have what is yours." But his master replied, "You wicked and lazy servant, you knew, did you, that I reap where I do not sow and gather where I didn't scatter? Then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers, and on my return I would have received at least what was my own with interest. So take the talent from him and give it to the one with the 10. For to all those who have, more will be given, and they will have an abundance. But from those who have nothing, even what they have will be taken away." This is the word of God for the people of God. This poor guy with only 1 talent. Now, he had a significant wad of cash. Okay, we don't feel poor guy for him because he didn't have any money. In fact, one talent was equivalent to about 70 pounds of gold. Okay, 70 pounds of gold. So in today's money, that would have been about $600,000 to $1.2 million per talent. Okay, so even the guy who's only given one, that's still a whole lot. And this is where our sermon notes pick up in your bulletin insert if you like to do those. You know, he wasn't poor because he was actually poor. He was poor because he, like many of us, was paralyzed by the what ifs. What if my boss comes back before I get a return on his investment? What if I lose more than I make? What if he's upset with me? What if he thinks I'm a failure? What if he thinks I can't be trusted? What if I lose my job? What if I can't feed my family? These are real, legitimate what ifs. He has good reason to be thinking them. And our chorus of what ifs joined his own. What if I can't pay the bills? What if I can't find a new job? What if my insurance runs out? What if I outlive my money and I'm a burden to my family? What if? What ifs are so powerful, friends, are they not? They're especially powerful when they have to do with money because money is a source of security in our lives, just like it was for the man in the parable. You know, I was talking to my friend Preston this week, and he was telling me a story about a time in high school whenever he was building a shed with a friend, and they decided that they were going to see if they could knock that nail in with one swing. Okay? You probably know, well, at least part of where this is going. So Preston, he's like, I'm going to go for it, puts the nail down on the board, and he gives it his best swing, and it goes about half the way in, and he's feeling all right about that, right? So then his friend comes up to the plate, and it's his turn to give it a try. And he goes for this big swing, but he hits it off on this edge, and then hits this knot or something. I don't know what happened, but at any rate, the nail pops up out of the board and hits my friend Preston in the face. Okay? And so now he has an indentation in his face where the nail hits him, and he had homecoming the next day. And his date was really impressed. Let me tell you, with all of the pictures that they had, and now her boyfriend has this nail stuck in, like this indentation on his face. I don't think they dated too much longer after that. But we are supposed to use tools. They're not supposed to use us. We're not supposed to let them get the best of us. Work and money are tools. They're God-given tools. They're good. With work, we make valuable contributions to society. We experience satisfaction and purpose. With work, we help make people's lives better. And with money that comes from work, we provide for ourselves and our families, and we give back to God in service to His people. These are great tools that we can put to work. Pursuing them is important. It's good. It's right. I'm glad that you are. But sometimes, instead of putting them to work, they can work us. And that happens anytime the thing driving them is fear. Instead of us using them, they use us. And our fear of not having enough money can cause us to chase making more and more of it, or penny pinch every ounce out of it, until in either case it becomes our greatest pursuit. There are plenty of good reasons that we can get knocked off course financially and find ourselves anxious. There's medical bills, there's layoffs, there's family who need help. All these things happen, and we all know how that can feel. But what I'm talking about here is when our desire for work and money is driven by fear, by what ifs. That's whenever we tend to get into a whole lot of anxiety. It all comes back to fear, doesn't it? Those what ifs, what if I run out of this or that? It's about uncertainty of the future. And it's almost always fear that is driving that what if, followed by that terrifying, decision-stealing question mark. It's this kind of what if that often keeps us from responding as generously as God would like. But actually, friends, even though it's easily overlooked, it wasn't only the man with one talent who was wrestling with the powerful words, what if. For the other two servants had just as many what ifs as he did. But their what ifs were motivated by hope rather than fear. And their what ifs sounded more like, what if I take these talents as seed money and I make something that I can sell? And what if I make that product and that nets me double the profit? And what if my boss is pleased with my hard was impressed with my courage. And what if that results in a step up? Extra income for me and my family. What if? There's a big difference between what if question mark and what if exclamation point. And the guy who had 1 talent and the guys who had 2 and 5 confront the same what if I fail. But the ones who are motivated by hope rather than fear, the ones who hear what if and they're so confident in the goodness of their master. Remember the guy who only had 1 talent? He said his master was harsh. We don't have any indication of that from the parable, but in his mind, that's what he was afraid of. The 2 and the 5 guys, they said, you know what? Our master is good, and I'm confident that even if I fail, he'll pick me up again, and he'll be glad that at least I tried. They're the ones who are able to face the uncertainty and move into it with purpose and resolve instead of getting paralyzed by it and backing away. Our dogged allegiance to things other than God, our willingness to let this stuff run our lives and use them up instead of using them as tools ourselves, that's a direct result of us allowing ourselves to be paralyzed by the what ifs. And you know, we're in a time in the church in America and in our denomination where a whole lot of people are fixated on asking what if. In a rapidly changing culture where we live in this in-between time of the church processing the changes and reimagining our place within it, where there are differences in thoughts and interpretation that are as potentially divisive in the church as certain issues are out in the political world, I see many of our best leaders getting absolutely paralyzed by the what ifs. But this past week, I got to go to a leadership conference, and in the midst of these very real what ifs, and we were talking about a lot of those ourselves, I heard within that a much more welcome what if, a more hopeful what if. We were there brainstorming and pitching ministry ideas to center directors and to bishops, and I heard pastors saying things like, what if the kids on the other side of the tracks who have no field or park in their neighborhood, what if they could come up to their neighborhood church and find a football field to play on? We got the room, we just need to put the field in. What if we set up a ministry where the kids in our local school who go home to empty plates at night could partner with the local university's ag students to grow food on the church's 2-acre plot, eat some of it, sell the rest at the local farmer's market, thereby finding out how to have a job, making money themselves, and having money to be able to buy their own dinner with? What if we took this part of the church building that we don't use anymore, this was a woman in Dallas, and convert it into showers and a clothes closet, a soup kitchen, and mailboxes for our homeless neighbors, because you can't get a job if you don't have an address to write down on, right? And we were hearing all these what ifs. But they were hopeful what ifs, based on dreaming God's dreams. One of the men that we met with is a guy who started a nonprofit called New Story. He was in his 20s. He said he was chasing the 3 G's, girls, gold, and glory. And but then this conversion experience, he really came to know the Lord. He went on a mission trip. He saw these folks who were living in tents. He decided he wanted to do something to help. He created a nonprofit to build homes. And so these are some of the homes that they built. This home right here, in fact, is the first home built by a 3D printer. Okay, his nonprofit invented a 3D printer that can print a home. And this is the first one. And I wanted to show you a little video of their ministry, so I'm going to let you take a look.
It's hard to explain what home is. It's having one life's most basic human needs. The security of knowing your children are safe. A home is also a small thing. It's family having a place to come together and laugh. It's kids running around playing with their friends. It's a peaceful night to sleep. For the family of Laboratory, this kind of homes hasn't always been part of their story. I grew up near here. I understand the hardship of living without a home. No clean water, no proper sanitation. When it rains, water will leak through and soak everything. How can any kid reach their potential when they are worried about their safety more than their future? This is why I do this work. I know firsthand having a home and community transforms life. A home that is safe and secure, one that is truly your own, it gives families the foundation to thrive. To focus on what the future holds, a place you want to invest in, a place you can be proud of. 154 families now live in Abuja. Each home was built by locals with local materials. This home by no means solves all the problems, but it gives families the foundation to change the story.
Living in survival mode ends today, and that is the power of these new homes.
So that community right there is one that they built in Haiti for 154 families. They're building their first community of 3D printed homes starting in January in El Salvador. What they found is they can build a home in 24 hours for $4,000 with this technology. It's amazing. Right? But they were able to do something. What they were thinking was, look, there's a billion people who don't have homes. We can't just keep going about this the same way that we have in the past. We need to find something cheaper and faster that can help us solve the problem. And so they began to ask, what if? But what ifs that were built on confidence in God and His ability to drive a different future than we've seen before. Even in the midst of uncertain times, we can dream God's dreams and choose to be led by something other than our own limits. I encourage you this morning to begin to push back on your what ifs. The concerns are real and completely valid and based on our desire to take care of ourselves as God wants us to. And sometimes we're kind of victimized by bad systems and poor choices from those that we work for. But those what ifs are not the only thing that we can think. There's also hope and possibility and excitement and what ifs. Because our master, our leader is God. And even when hard times come, and even if we fail, and even when we struggle, God is there for us, proud that we tried, and He will never abandon us. What we're talking about this morning is a mindset built on faith and hope. Of course, mindset is not all that's needed. On a practical note, because our what ifs are so often have a financial component to them, if you look on the back of your sermon notes, you'll see a list of just a few basic tools that can help put us in a position to think about the more hopeful what ifs, rather than just the fearful ones. So that instead of these kinds of things running our lives, you're able to run them and help improve your life. Mindset is not all that's needed, of course not. But this kind of mindset built on faith rather than fear is the first thing that's needed. We can all get so caught up in the fearful what ifs, we completely forget that there's this whole other kind out there. But as you move forward into your week, let the punctuation at the end of your what if be a testimony to your confidence in the goodness of your God, and therefore your peace and assurance about the future. This is where faith gets real and really makes a difference. For when we trust in God's goodness and take a leap of faith and know that we can dream His dreams, then He's the one who provides the increase 2 times over, 5 times over, 10 times over. Thanks be to God. Let's pray. Father, we thank You for making things possible that would not be possible just on our own. You know that there's good reason for us to be concerned about what could happen and about the future. And yet, Lord, we pray that You help us to throw our lot in with You, not to just ignore those things or to put on rose-colored glasses, but to be able to think and pray beyond those, to ask, what if God is calling me even in the midst of this? So move us, Lord. Speak to our hearts. Help us to know what You have us here. For we believe and trust that You are good. In the name of Jesus Christ we pray. Amen.
This is the time of our church that we can give a portion of So Lord, thank you so much for all the gifts and blessings that you've given us. Lord, we ask that what we give to you today, Lord, that it would just go to bless your kingdom, to grow to this community, Lord, that it would bless the givers as they give cheerfully.
As we go into our offering time, I want to introduce a new song to you guys that we're going to start putting into the rotation now. Feel free to sing along, worship if you know it. This is Counting Every Blessing.
I was blind, now I see in the dark. I was dead, now I'm living forever. I had faith, but you were my redeemer. I've been blessed beyond all measure. I was lost, now I'm found by the Father. Changed from ruin to treasure. I've been given a hope and a future. I've been blessed beyond all measure, and I am counting every blessing, counting every blessing, letting go, trusting when I cannot see. I am counting every blessing, counting every blessing. Surely every season you are good to me. Whoa, oh, 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 you are good to me. Whoa, oh, oh, you are good to me. You were there in the valley of shadows. You were there in the depth of my sorrows. You're my strength, my hope, my love. I've been blessed beyond all measure. I am counting every blessing, counting every blessing, letting go, trusting when I cannot see. I am counting every blessing, counting every blessing. Surely every season you are good to me. Whoa, oh, 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 you are good to me. Whoa, oh, oh, you are good to me. Surely your goodness pursues me. Surely your heart is still for me. I will remember your mercy all my days, through every storm and gale. And I am counting every blessing, counting every blessing, letting go, trusting when I cannot see. I am counting every blessing, counting every blessing. Surely every season you are good to me, and I am counting every blessing, counting every blessing, letting go, trusting when I cannot see. I am counting every blessing, counting every blessing. Surely every season you are good to me. Whoa, oh, 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 you are good to me. Whoa, oh, 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 you are good to me. Whoa, oh, 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 you are good to me. Whoa, oh, oh, you are good to me.
Counting our blessings for sure. If you'll stand with us as we close our worship service, we sing Leaning on the Everlasting Arms of Jesus.
have a shared goal for you today. As you walk out the sanctuary this morning, there will be a couple members of the Community Connections team. They'll have flyers in their hand about Turkey Quest, Thanksgiving baskets. You would take those couple of flyers and pass them to friends and family who might be willing to make donations for Thanksgiving baskets. That's a great way for you to share your faith and also how we're making the world a better place right here at Asbury. As we go from here, remember that God goes before you to show you the way, behind you to keep you moving, above you to watch over you, beside you to befriend you, and within you always to give you peace. Amen.